Welcome to Nationwide, reaching you on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Lami Ali. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media platforms displayed on the screen for updates. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved 24 billion naira for the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, towards enhancing its modular irrigation system. This is in furtherance of efforts at achieving food sufficiency and security in Nigeria. The Executive Vice Chairman of the agency, Professor Mohammed Sani Haruna, announced this after an audience with the President. That report will come to you in subsequent bulletin. Now, Nigeria is currently building a robust national beneficial ownership database to be deployed to combat illicit financial flows and terrorism financing. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this recently while receiving a delegation from the Open Government Partnership OGP Support Unit led by the Chief Executive Officer Sanjay Pradhan in Abuja. In this report, Dele Atumbi takes a look at the benefits accruable to Nigeria from its membership of the Open Government Partnership.
Transparent, participatory, inclusive, and accountable governance. Presently, Open Government Partnership includes 77 countries and 106 local governments, representing over 2 billion people, and several civil society organizations. As a way of enhancing citizens' participation through inclusivity and good governance, President Muhammadu Buhari enlisted Nigeria in this global body known for transparency in governance. The policy areas of the Open Government Partnership includes inclusion, anti-corruption and integrity, digital governance, civic space with premium on protecting the fundamental rights of citizens. Others are access to justice and Medicare, open parliament, environmental protection, as well as access to government records. Nigeria's membership of this body has brought about development in several areas, and the anti-corruption stance of the administration has led to the conviction of many politically exposed persons. The suspension and the ongoing trial of the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, and 2 others are pointers to the country's zero tolerance to corruption.
As a proof of our progress, Nigeria was ranked among the best improved countries for transparency in the latest Global Orphan Budget Survey.
That Nigeria has been a truly excellent performer in OGP. Through the 2 national action plans that Minister Akbar talked about, your government with civil society has advanced, and I say this I said this to the press also, one of the most significant and ambitious open government reforms across our 77-country partnership. It is really notable and commendable. One notable thrust of this, Your Excellency, has been fighting corruption through these commitments in the OGP action plans, on fighting corruption through opening up budgets, opening up contracts, opening up extractives, and opening up company ownership.
As part of the country's commitment to Open Government Partnership, Nigeria is to sign the 3rd action plan before the end of August 2022.
We are working very hard to get the new NAP in place before the current one expires. As a matter of fact, the NAP document is in its final stages of development.
Economic experts say with the country's membership of Open Government Partnership, its budgeting processes have become more open, citizen-centered, and participatory. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
The state government-owned tertiary institutions benefiting from the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TET Fund, but have not been given accounts of subventions allocated to them have been given 3 weeks to do so. Chairman House of Representatives Committee on Tertiary Education and Services, Aminu Suleiman Goro, said this during the committee's oversight to TET Fund. John Yaku has the details.
The essence of a legislative oversight is to ensure probity and accountability of public expenditure. This precisely is the reason the committee is giving this order.
We have a responsibility to ensure that all funds collected from the federal government are deployed for the purposes for which they are provided. And we cannot be certain if institutions are refusing to respond to requests, legitimate requests from the committees. And to that extent, through the fund, we have given them a last warning to respond. Otherwise, we may consider severe consequences for such defaulting institutions.
We are going to communicate to them as long as public funds are being used and they are TET fund projects. These are the committees that oversight us. They have access, they should have access to those projects to inspect them and have access to information about how they are managed.
The Executive Secretary of TET Fund, Sonny Echono, while appreciating the National Assembly for their cooperation, told the committee that there was a drop in remittance collection in 2021, but with the promise by the federal government to increase its funding, this will improve quality of education, as he promises an open, independent evaluation of activities of TET Fund. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
As Nigeria faces different security challenges, officers from the police, military and paramilitary organizations are undergoing an intensive skills and intelligence training. Defense correspondent Naja'atu Tijani reports.
It's been 2 weeks of intensive training for these officers on leadership and intelligence sharing. Designed for junior cadre officers, soldiers and other security agencies in Nigeria, the training is aimed at improving their critical thinking, emotional intelligence and mentorship in order to enhance optimum performance at their various duty posts.
The course has helped to develop leadership perspectives and emotional intelligence attributes to operate professionally in a dynamic and multifaceted environment, especially when deployed for internal security operations.
You don't perform, nobody will challenge you, nobody will even ask you to do anything. And that is one of the reasons why this particular course was structured and stated at this center.
As they live here, go back to their various relations. They are supposed to really impact the process. Their relationship with their junior is supposed to improve. They are supposed to become better mentors.
With attendance from across the Nigerian Army, Police, Civil Defense and the Nigeria Customs Service, the training is also aimed at enhancing synergy and cooperation between security agencies and the armed forces of Nigeria.
The Nigerian Immigration Service Cross River State Command has arrested 3 illegal migrants in a community in Etung. The suspects were arrested by the Border Patrol officers at Mfum. A statement from the Controller of Immigration Service in Emerebu indicates that the suspects were found with a bag containing locally made pistol, 3 live ammunition, charms, and a Techno BC3 Android phone. The suspects, the statement adds, were 4 in number, but one of them escaped before they were arrested. Preliminary investigation by NIS officers revealed that one of the suspects is a Cameroonian and a member of the Ambazonia separatist group in Cameroon, while the other 2 are Nigerians. Now, the federal government is making adequate plans to establish more data capturing centers across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country to ease passport processing. Minister of Interior Ralph Aregbesola said this. It said this is part of measures to address inadequacies in the administration of issuance of travel passports and to entrench international best practices. The minister was speaking while sharing views with executives of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations on strengthening collaboration to surmount security challenges.
Do not keep any vital information about your service to yourself. Report everything that you find illegal to your well-being, anything by whoever, to the nearest law enforcement agent. We have a platform now that's free to all Nigerians. It's called an alert.
The general consensus we came out with is the fact that we all agreed that this country has no business being where it is today. It ought to be competing with the best out there. And we believe once we are able to come together, ask ourselves the necessary questions, we should be able to retrace our steps and go back to those good old days.
The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations also commended the giant strides achieved in critical areas of the economy by the current administration. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has set aside the verdict of the Federal High Court Abuja that discharged and acquitted a former chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Mohammed Umar Dikko, of money laundering charge by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, which was preferred against him. In a unanimous judgment, the three-man panel of justices led by Justice Elfreda Oluwa Yemisi Williams Daudu overturned the judgments of the lower courts and ordered that the defendant continue with his defense on counts 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. The decision of the Court of Appeal on this matter has nullified the no-case submission of the defendants, which was upheld by the trial court. The trial judge, Justice Nnamdi Dimba, has ruled that the prosecution failed to provide any evidence that Umar gave instruction that led to the transfer of the said funds from the renovation of his private property in Abuja. In the charge bordering on money laundering, the anti-graft agency alleged that the former air chief diverted public funds to running to 66 million naira for private use. The defendant, Air Marshal Mohammed Dikko Umar, allegedly committed the offense between 2010 and 2012 while he held sway as the Chief of Air Staff, adding that he used the stolen fund to renovate his property in Abuja. Now, whenever a competent court of law gives an order on a matter before it, all litigants in the case are bound under the law to obey and enforce it. However, when parties refuse to do so, it undermines the power and responsibility of the judiciary to apply the law, settle disputes, and punish lawbreakers in accordance with the rules. Observing the negative impacts of the trend on Nigeria's developments, speakers at this year's annual conference of the Nigerian Bar Association ongoing in Abuja wants judicial officers and legal practitioners to rise up against the trend in the public interest.
At this conference, we shall especially examine topics that concern our judiciary generally, including disobedience to court orders and the slight to state of anarchy, strengthening judicial authority in a democracy through effective and sustainable strategies, and the impediment to seamless execution of court orders in Nigeria. We need judges who do their duties fearlessly, holding the scales in balance and evenly, not only between man and man, but also between man and the state.
Without equivocation, the past and present political regimes in Nigeria have not ceased to intervene and interfere in the premises of the judiciary.
The Nigerian Bar Association, as the flagship body of the profession, was especially tasked with using its subsidiary organs to ensure the independence of the judiciary. Now, the national leadership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it remains one united family under the Senator Yocha Ayu-led National Working Committee. This formed part of resolutions reached at the end of an interactive meeting of the National Working Committee with former publicity secretaries and other stakeholders of the party. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The need to further deepen the democratic ideals of the PDP informed this gathering of former national, zonal and state publicity secretaries. The interface with the National Working Committee of the party is to bring them in tune with current happenings to further project the party in its rebuilding and rebranding initiative.
We are coming here to listen to you and to get you together to craft the necessary strategies for us to convey to the Nigerian people the best message that will make us win the next election.
The party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, in a 4-point communique at the end of the meeting said the PDP reconciliation efforts with aggrieved members is a work in progress.
And we have a relationship within the NWC that is based purely on the interest of the party and nothing more.
Meanwhile, the North Central Zonal Youth Summit of the PDP was conducted in Abuja with a charge on the party youth to embrace positive virtues that will hold the party in good stead.
Sincerely speaking, we are being relegated to the background and we always contribute from 60 to 70% of votes in this country.
We have 1,398 wards in the North Central. We have 26,090 polling units in North Central. These are things we need to know.
The summit is expected to be replicated in each of the North Central states. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
We now link up with Michael in Lagos for more reports from the Center of Excellence. How are you, Michael?
Very well, Lami. Lagos State government will continue to provide affordable housing in line with the theme's agenda to reduce housing deficits across the metropolis. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stated this after inaugurating 38 housing units on Victoria Island in Lagos. Musa Tolia has details.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the inauguration of the housing units is in fulfillment of the promise he made upon assumption of duty that any ongoing projects across the state will be completed and delivered to residents.
From health to environment, from education and technology, from a design of making Lagos a truly 21st century in housing, in power, and finally ensuring that we have good governance under a very stable security component and working with the other arms of government.
The monarch of Iruland, Obabola Lawal, however, wants Lagos State government to focus more attention on providing housing schemes for low-income earners in the state.
Let us look at how we can improve on the land value capture concept. The more reason why I have always been advocating for a compact, coordinated and connected Lagos. With that, we'll be able to reduce the travel time, we'll be able to increase on our productivity, we'll be able to do a whole lot.
The 2 blocks of 38 housing units is sited on 2,832 square meters landmass on Victoria Island, and it is born out of public-private partnership in line with the Urban Renewal Initiative of the Lagos State Government. In Lagos, Musa Tolia, NTA News.
Optimal nutrition during the first 2 years of a child's life lowers mortality, reduces chronic diseases, and promotes overall well-being. This is why medical experts constantly recommend breast milk for newborns and infants. In the support, Joy Ken Abapoya assesses breastfeeding in Nigeria through the eyes of nursing mothers.
Breast milk, with all its components and superpowers, adds little or no economic burden on household income, as it is freely given by nature. And so, just like many Nigerian mothers, the decision to give nothing but breast milk to her daughter was pretty easy for Ebu, a first-time mom.
We haven't had any case to go to the hospital except for immunization. Even if she has catarrh, we only take vitamin C. After then, nothing. She has been strong.
The story is the same for Miriam and Tina.
This one is fault. I no give anything. I only breast from 1 and 6 months. If you give her baby breast well, it's good well.
Breastfeeding is still the best for every child.
However, not all children are as lucky as these kids. Going by World Health Organization figures, 3 out of 5 children globally are not breastfed in their first few hours.
We must increase their access to nutrition counseling. What nutrition counseling does is that it creates a body of support around the mother, because breastfeeding does not come all that easily.
In Nigeria, breastfeeding is universal as almost all babies are being breastfed. The challenge, however, is with exclusivity, as less than 30% of infants are exclusively breastfed.
The benefits are numerous for the child. On the part of the mother, exclusive breastfeeding has been shown to help with weight loss after delivery.
Breast milk is the ideal source of nutrition for babies, according to experts. It is safe, clean, and rich in antibodies required to protect children against common illnesses. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abapoya, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages, and when we return, Nationwide continues with Suleiman from our Kaduna Network Center. Please stay.
Michael there in our Lagos studio. Welcome to Kaduna Network Center. Women politicians in Kaduna State are marshalling support for female candidates vying for various elective positions in the forthcoming general elections next year. The gender mainstream proponents have put their acts together to promote their interests devoid of party affiliation. Adamu Sunday reports that the Independent National Electoral Commission in Kaduna State provided platform for cross-fertilization of ideas among female candidates and women in politics.
In Kaduna State, apart from a female running mate of a governorship candidate, there are 35 female candidates seeking elective positions on the banner of various political parties for next year's general elections.
Women have remained marginalized.
These women have crossed hurdles of the party's primaries and are now gearing up for general elections as they converge under one roof, devoid of party partisanship, to discuss their plight.
Chances of women is actually more positive because yesterday is not today. So there are plenty improvements when it comes to women engaging in politics.
Women don't have money. So that is a huge factor. But we need to find a way around it, because the state we are in now as a nation, women are needed.
The Independent National Electoral Commission in Kaduna mastermind this gathering to assist participants to push their agenda to electorates. The state resident electoral commissioner, Asama Osani Mekudi, said women politicians are making appreciable progress. Kaduna State is among states with a high number of women appointed into the mainstream of governance. Adamu Sunday, NTA News.
Performing artists in the Northwest have resorted to prayers for the country in view of security and economic challenges threatening its survival. The prayer session is part of their contribution in seeking divine intervention. Our service reports that the prayer session was held in Kano.
A spiritual ambience as Muslim faithful devote themselves to reciting the glorious Quran, supplication and sacrifice with a view to seeking the face of the Almighty in the work of escalating insecurity, especially in the Northwest. The conveners of the prayer session, comprising popular music and film artists committed to the promotion of the Buhari administration, say in the face of national challenges, Nigerians must unite to salvage the country.
A peaceful Nigeria is a common asset to all of us. If Nigeria is in crisis, it is our collective obligation to salvage it. With prayers to God, we have a better destiny ahead. We need to be more prayerful.
While the government and armed forces explore conventional means to contain insurgency and other violent crimes, they advise Nigerians of all faith to commit themselves to prayers and sacrifice for a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. Worshippers and artists from the Northwest attended the prayer sessions, which the convener said will be held continuously as mark of absolute submission to the eternal powers of Allah. Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA.
With that report is back to Lami in Abuja for more stories on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Suleiman. And back in Abuja earlier, we told you that President Muhammadu Buhari has approved 24 billion naira for the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NSENI, towards enhancing its modular irrigation system. This is in furtherance of efforts at achieving food sufficiency and security in Nigeria. The Executive Vice Chairman of the agency, Professor Mohammed Sani Haruna, announced this after an audience with the President. Adamu Sambu has the reports now.
The President is impressed that NSENI is delivering on its mandate and directed us to do more, particularly in the modular irrigation projects.
The modular irrigation system is one of NSENI's inventions and innovations for the agricultural subsector of the nation's economy. It is a scheme developed by the agency for farmers to irrigate their farms using a solar-powered mobile pumping machines, even where there are no rivers or streams nearby.
We have acquired a 10-hectare farmland in Adamawa State using water from River Benue, where this pilot scheme is starting. And it is estimated that based on the technologies to be used there, it is possible to have 3 multi-crop seasons in a year, commencing from October this year, God willing, in that land. This one, we are drawing water from River Benue, of course solar powered. The next model is the one that you go to area where there is no river nearby and you drill borehole to store water using solar power also to irrigate the farm.
The Executive Vice Chairman of NSENI also spoke on the progress of the helicopter assembly initiative embarked upon by the agency in its desire to manufacture made in Nigeria helicopter that is of international standard to boost the nation's economy and help in the fight against insecurity.
We assembled 2 helicopters. Now these helicopters are in the helipad and hangar developed in our site in Karshi. However, for its expansion, the President has approved the project to be relocated to Nigerian Air Force Institute of Technology, Kaduna, because of the already developed facilities there in order not to reinvent the wheel. Why you are not seeing it flying? Because the Civil Aviation Authority is still doing all that processes needed to certify this helicopter. But we are going ahead not only with the helicopter but other aircraft development because we have adequate manpower for that.
Professor Haruna also takes pride in NSENI produced solar modules of highest quality from a 7.5 megawatts capacity factory in Karshi, as well as military equipment including mines-resistant ambush-protected armored personnel carrier and medium-caliber machine gun already tested by the Nigerian Army. Local production of the military equipment in particular, he said, is in line with Nigeria's national defense policy as well as the Executive Order number 5 signed by the President. NSENI was established in 1992 with a vision to create an enabling knowledge-driven environment for local mass production of standard parts, goods and services required for Nigeria's technological advancement. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, global food price index has dropped by 8.6% in the month of July, the biggest price fall in over 3 years. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) said the price index dropped to 140.9 in July, led by a significant decrease in prices of cereal and vegetable oil. The index measures monthly changes in international prices of 5 major food commodity groups. These are cereal, meat, dairy products, vegetable oil, and sugar. The deal signed between Russia and Ukraine over shipments of agricultural produce has significantly brought down the price of cereal by 11.5%. The vegetable oil price index plummeted 19.2% in July from a month ago, marking a 10-month low. The FAO sugar price index fell 3.8% from June amid concerns over demand prospects due to expectations of a further global economic slowdown, a weakening Brazilian currency, and lower ethanol prices. In Nasarawa State Government, in collaboration with development partners, trained 200 graduates on employability entrepreneurial program aimed at creating jobs for the youths in the state. As a follow-up to the training, among other investments drive, the financial institution is establishing its presence in the state to provide access to funds for the young entrepreneurs. Aliu Tijani has the reports.
500 million naira counterpart-funded entrepreneurship program is taking 200 graduates out of labor market from Nasarawa State, while the state government commits 250 million naira to the program. The Bank of Industry is to pay the remaining 250 million naira. Executive Director of the bank, Umar Shekaro, is in Lafia in furtherance of the partnership with the state government to establish its branch in the state capital.
All the state governments that we are in partnership also with Excellence made it very clear that the aim is for them to assist the entrepreneurs within the states. And so when they brought funds, they said to us, no interest. That has also dropped the interest from 10% to 5%, which the agency
Governor Abdullahi Sule says establishing a branch of the Bank of Industries in Lafia will stimulate the growth of small and medium-scale enterprises in the state.
But now that you mention it, I promise you, if you open your office here, I will make Dangote to have one, especially for Nasarawa State, even if it is 500 million or 1 billion. That is going to be clearly for this, for the people of Nasarawa State, because of the peculiar nature of the state, and our proximity to the federal capital.
Government, he emphasized, will leverage facilities provided by the bank to grow local industries in the state. In Lafia, Aliu Tijani, NTA News.
Nana Aisha is in Sokoto with more stories. Hello, Nana. It's over to you.
Hello, Lami, and welcome everyone to Sokoto. Federal Commissioner, National Population Commission Sokoto, Office Chizo Abdullahi Dettijo, has called on stakeholders to always support the Commission as preparation for 2023 population census continues. He made the call while briefing newsmen on the successes recorded by the Commission in the just concluded trial population and housing census conducted in 9 local governments of Sokoto State. Sheikh Muhammad Detti has more.
The 2023 population and housing census is aimed at ascertaining the aggregate number of Nigerians with a view to improving their living standard for the better and for national development. Sokoto Office of the National Population Commission is one of the offices where the trial census was carried out between June 27th and July 30th with a pre-test design to test the appropriateness and time needed to administer the census questionnaires, including the hurdle, particularly to address the logistic aspect of the enumeration exercise and the new digital methodology.
Overall state mobilization and coverage, it still needs the assistance and of other organizations to ensure that nothing is left to chance.
One of the ad hoc staff of the commission described the trial census as a good guide. The forthcoming April 2023 population and housing census is expected to serve as one of the avenues that will help government in building the nation. In Sokoto, Sheikh Muhammad Detti, NTA News.
The Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, in collaboration with the Kebbi State Government, is working towards rehabilitation and water expansion of Uyauri Waterworks. Abdullahi Umar Ilelu reports that the move is to provide sufficient water to the ancient town, which source of water has been grossly affected by the construction and operation of the hydroelectric dams.
The Yauri Water Works was constructed 42 years ago to provide water to the then Yauri town and its environs, which was less than 1/3 of the present day's town. The population expansion and inability of the water treatment plant to serve its full capacity due to dilapidation is making access to clean water a serious challenge in the area.
We are in the belt of the River Niger, which means water is not a problem. We don't take water to people unless that water is purified. There are some waterborne diseases like cholera. When people drink contaminated water, we come down with cholera, typhoid, and other diseases. It's very important that it's not only for water in one place, taking the people, but we have to purify it.
To change the narratives, Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission is committing over 900 million naira to rehabilitate and expand the water works, hence the assessment visit.
There is serious dilapidation, and there are so many areas that needs upgrade or complete replacement. But we are also lucky that the state government has already pre-qualified competent water works contractors who we are going to analyze and see, and we are going to give the necessary intervention note very soon. That is, we are going to sign the contract.
With Kebbi State Government playing its part, the project, which include complete overhaul of the treatment plant, provision of more booster stations, and extension of reticulation, is expected to commence in few weeks. Abdullah Umar Ilalu, NTA News.
Well, that's our contribution here in Sokoto. We'll take a commercial break, but Nationwide will continue after that in Benin with Agatha.
Thank you for staying on Nationwide, and a warm welcome to Benin. A fuel scarcity experienced in the city for the past 3 days is gradually easing off as most stations are now open for business. Anwuli Okolo reports that reopening of the Sapele Road, barricaded for days by protesters, is a reason for the disappearance of queues from fuel stations.
For days, supply of PMS to fuel stations in the metropolis was hampered as many trucks could not gain entry into the city, with very few stations selling for as high as 190 to 200 naira per litre. The protest against deplorable condition of the RCC road to bypass access of the Sapele-Warri road was the reason for the fuel scarcity. The filled portion of the road was barricaded for days while trucks loaded with petrol were trapped in a standstill. The road is now open. The tankers have started coming in and the queues have disappeared.
You see, for some months now, a lot of trailers have been parked there. At times, you see some of them falling. Most of the trucks that loaded from Warri, Ogara Depot and Port Harcourt wouldn't be able to enter inside the town because of the blockage. So, but as at yesterday evening, the road has been opened, and you can see we are selling now.
However, pump price has remained between 179 to 119 naira, depending on the fuel station.
I get fuel, but easy. But another way, pump price is not easy. The Vono should be seeing on the pump price to know that the fuel is already around. If they are selling 200, 190, we are not relieved of it.
Consumers say the cost is telling on their pockets and hope the marketers will revert to the original pump price soon. In Benin, Anwuli Okolo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, from Akure, the Ondo State capital, Nigerians are lamenting the hardship caused by the increase in prices of fuel and kerosene. Kayode Olorundare reports that kerosene is scarce and now sells for 800 naira per litre, while fuel price has unofficially increased to between 175 to 190 naira per litre.
A visit to some petrol stations in Akure reveals that the 165 naira official pump price of petrol is no longer effective, as dealers now sell at different prices ranging from 179 naira per litre to 200 naira per litre. Kerosene, which is not readily available in Akure, sells for 800 naira per litre. This development, some residents of Akure decry.
It's so unfortunate. Even with the increment in fuel price, why don't we fix our refineries and make it work?
Our adjusting knob in Nigeria is so long that anything can be put onto us. Even kerosene 800 naira. Imagine kerosene. The common man utility. And if you must move a liter of petroleum product from Lagos down to a place like Akure here, you are paying minimum of 15 naira. When you add that to 165.6, you will have about 180.6. I think what everybody is doing now is just for the sake of being business.
The Minister of State for Petroleum, Timi Presiva, had recently told journalists that the official pump price of petrol remains at 165 naira per litre. In Akure, Kayode Olorundare, NTA News.
That ends our package. Lamit, back to you for the rest of Nationwide.
Thanks, Agatha. Now, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has presented a total sum of 2,800,000 naira to the family of one of its personnel, an inspector with the Corps, Ilyasu Ibrahim, who died on duty defending the Kuje Custodial Center, presenting a check of 2.5 million naira and the sum of 300,000 naira in cash to Mrs. Elizabeth Abraham and daughter Abimiko Blessing at the Corps National Headquarters in Abuja. The Commandant General NSCDC, Dr. Ahmed Abubakar Audi, consoled the family over the loss of their breadwinner, saying though no amount could equate his sacrifice, the officer would always be remembered as a hero. The Commandant General stressed that the money given to the family is an intervention from government and the Corps to assist the deceased family in ameliorating some burial expenses, as well as in fulfillment of his promise to ensure that necessary compensation is given to the family on time. Now, they dot every district of the Federal Capital City, the suburbs, and in many cases have become illegal shelter for individuals of questionable character. The threat of uncompleted buildings in the FCT to security has over time been a source of worry to authorities and residents alike. What measures are being taken to contain this challenge, especially with these contemporary social security realities? Unutu Yakubu brings us insights.
Structures such as this high rising behind me are common for suspected criminal elements in the Federal Capital Territory, and the development is one which has given a host of residents cause for worry.
They exist in their thousands across the stretch of the Federal Capital Territory. Stephen Okori is a security expert. He believes that with the recent happenings around the nation's capital regarding the recurrent threats to the security architecture of the territory, authorities concerned need to strengthen intelligence by beaming satellites on persons and locations of questions.
They pose serious security threats and challenges because just the way you said, criminal elements hibernate in these buildings, and that is where they hatch their plans before they come out to execute it.
To entrench the culture of public safety and effectively prevent the overbearing incidences induced by the unwholesome activities of squatter settlements within the enclaves of uncompleted buildings, the FCT police believes that residents have a great role to play to complement efforts of security offensives.
We have started raiding the place to see that we push out those miscreants from sleeping on those uncompleted buildings. The development control assure us the stamp rent they normally used to give, especially to private companies, on which they must complete the building and enter and start using it.
Commentators, however, say security agencies should intensify synergy with the Department of Development Control to identify these infrastructural threats
and take necessary precautionary measures to mitigate the overall effects. Onotu Yakubu, NTA.
Now, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities at a Stakeholders Forum on Disability Inclusion Projects encourages state governments to implement the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Act. Gufan Gwangi reports.
Room are stakeholders from the 36 states of the Federation meeting to discuss the welfare of persons with disabilities. On the agenda is the case for states to domesticate and implement the Act on Rights of Persons with Disabilities for inclusiveness in governance.
Our population is more than 35 million, but we do not have a minister who is person with disability, who is representing person with disability. So what we mean by inclusion, to see that all the aspects of the government, there is full representation, full participation of person with disability in everything.
But there are about more than 1 million of registered right now. We have a lot of them. We are working with INEC to be able to get the specific data of the persons with disabilities who are voters, who hold their voters card, so that we can engage some of these presidential aspirants with it. We must negotiate for some ministerial position for the disability community.
We're working with the National Council for Persons with Disability to ensure that they coordinate all the structures in the state to ensure full participation of persons with disability.
Executive Secretary of the Commission, James Lalu, says states can support the federal government, which is reserving 10% of all its social programs for persons with disabilities, by implementing the Act and following up with state-specific interventions. In Abuja, Gufan Igwain, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with family, friends and associates mourning the death of former Inspector General of Police IGP Mustapha Balogun. He also mourns with the Nigeria Police Force, an institution Balogun spent the better part of his life serving. The president recalls that Tafa Balogun, during his tenure as IGP, did his utmost to ensure that the police performed its statutory responsibilities under a democratic dispensation, and his penchant for boosting the morale of officers and men in the force has been acknowledged by those who served under him. President Buhari's thoughts are with the family, the government and people of Osun State, as well as colleagues and former colleagues of the deceased police chief. He prays for the peaceful repose of the soul of the departed. Similarly, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Ali Baba, mourns the demise of the 11th Indigenous Inspector General of Police, Mustapha Balogun, who died at the age of 74. A statement by the force's public relations officers, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, indicates that Tafa Balogun was the Inspector General of Police between March 2002 to January 2005 and achieved major operational milestones, including facilitating the establishment of the Police Mobile Force Training College in Ilarangu, Osun State, among others. The Inspector General of Police condoles with the immediate family, relatives, fellow classmates and friends of the late IGP while praying for the repose of his soul. Meanwhile, the late IGP will be laid to rest in his country home at Ilarangu, Osun State on Saturday, 6th August 2022, according to Islamic rites. And on that sad note, we come to the end of Nationwide for today. We thank you for watching. Remember to always hook up with the NTA in the campaign against rape and rapists. Do have a wonderful weekend.